It's Alex Miller at Capneon here. Today, I'd like to give you an update on the story of OpenAI's incorporation situation, and I'll review a little bit the reasons it's unusual and unusually strategically important. I'll close with just some general thoughts about corporate governance and trends in how people incorporate and where, with some analysis. So, the relative end of the story is that as of April of this year, OpenAI's for profit arm has been reincorporated as a Delaware public benefit corporation. Public benefit corporation is a relatively new legal construct that has a mandate to balance returning money to shareholders from profits with being a good citizen and doing nice things for society. And the strategic reason this is maybe important is that a public benefit corporation can do an IPO, and also it is not totally disharmonious with not-for-profit concerns. Let me rewind now. The broader story, of course, is that OpenAI began as a not-for-profit research lab. Over time, they formed a for-profit arm in order to attract investment, and that created a difficult situation where the board at the not-for-profit has legal obligations to pursue certain goals, but then also as part of their oversight of this for-profit company, they have other different goals. And the way that OpenAI was incorporated before, it was pretty murky how you reconciled these things. So right here you can see why changing the for-profit arm to be a public benefit corporation makes life a little easier. OpenAI is also under different kinds of strategic pressure to maybe IPO one day. They're vacuuming up all the venture capital money in the universe, and it might come to pass that the only way they can keep going is to raise money from public markets via an IPO. And evidence of this, at least the pressure from investors, is that SoftBank was putting riders in the contracts around their investments that OpenAI needed to find a path to IPO or SoftBank could pull the money. Meanwhile, in the background, okay, you got this kind of weird legal situation that's in the way of you doing something very strategically, financially important for your business. You've pissed off the world's richest man who's been chasing you around trying to sabotage you, approximately. I'm speaking of Elon Musk. So if you ask, well, who's going to sue if we tried to do a sketchy thing and IPO our for-profit arm? Well, it's definitely Elon Musk that could sue. And they've made, at least optically, a lot of progress on this issue. An interesting thing still is that the public benefit corporation construct is pretty new and untested in court. So as part of the little bit of research I did for this video, it was true not terribly long ago that there were only two publicly traded public benefit corporations. And this article stressed that, well, that number has increased 850%. Well, that's still not even 20 companies. So there hasn't really been a lawsuit addressing these issues that worked OpenAI's way. And that's really what you would ideally like if you're doing a big money deal that's legally sketchy. You would love to point to some past court case to say, hey, Elon, don't bother to sue us because it's just going to get tossed out. Because everybody agrees in advance how it will go. Well, that's not the case because just public benefit corporations are so new. That being said, it's clear to me why they did it, and there's a certain element of progress in it. They're in a better position they were in before. This is a great place to move on to reading into a little bit. Well, why Delaware? And why is it always Delaware? Why has it been Delaware just a little bit less recently? Part of the story of everyone incorporating Delaware is that everyone has been incorporating in Delaware. There's just a lot of case law of big corporations have already sued about each other about every possible issue in Delaware. So you have a lot of certainty about what might happen to you if you get jammed up in a lawsuit. And so it makes a lot of sense. This nice quality that Delaware has, people call it the rocket docket, which is fun for rhyming, might be of special interest to them because they are fearing a particular type of nouveau sketchy lawsuit, and they would like some certainty and strategic clarity about how it might go. And if you're looking for that kind of certainty, Delaware is the place in the United States to get it. Having said all these things, there's been a bit of a trend away from incorporating in Delaware. Elon Musk pointedly moved some companies to Texas. There have been some other Silicon Valley companies, and notice here, the companies in California, they're still all incorporating in Delaware. Some other companies followed as well. And why is this happening? Well, I think if you look at the companies that have made this decision, the first wave, it was all companies with charismatic, visible, controlling shareholders. And Elon Musk is the ultimate example of this. I don't know but everybody would agree with this, but if you're a Tesla shareholder and you really know your stuff, you really shouldn't be happy that Elon Musk made this move, because it really looks like something that is good for Elon Musk and that it allows him to get away with a certain level of sketchy corporate non-governance, ignoring other shareholders. And states have a little bit, do you want to go to the state that's super duper strict about corporate governance? Yeah, if you run the company, maybe not. If you're an investor, yes. So it really seemed to me like the first wave is really driven by corporate controlling shareholders that wanted to do what they wanted to do. And Delaware was too aggressively telling them that they had to worry about other shareholders too. Texas, not so much. Also evident in the Elon Musk prototype is that once this started happening, it took on strong political dimensions of moving your company from Delaware to Texas sort of signaled a particular sort of political and ideological alignment. And if you want to sift through, there are a bunch more companies that just talked a lot in public about, oh, well, we're looking at moving to Texas. And to me, this is some pretty clear, well, you don't actually care. You just want to abut the political signaling you're doing elsewhere, that you're aligned with people that are currently in power and what's interest to them, by dumping Delaware, this, it's a coastal blue state that's been very stuffy about arcane things like corporate governance, and go to Texas, which at least by brand, maybe less so in reality recently, is a very pro-business state, and recently, of course, pretty right-wing.